This is 5 on your side at 6. Focused on you.
More reaction today from the verdict in the high-profile case against Daniel Riley. Just 2 days ago, a jury found him guilty in the crash that caused a Tennessee teenager to lose her legs while visiting downtown St. Louis. The jury recommended he serve 19 years in prison. A judge will soon decide whether to move forward with that recommendation. Thank you for joining us at 6. I'm Brent Solomon. The teen injured in that crash was Janae Edmondson. It's a name that has become well known all across our area and even around the country. Janae's story rallied our city together to support and seek justice. Members of our community and local organizations poured in support for the Edmondson family. And now we're hearing how that support impacted the family.
It was the St. Louis community, it was the volleyball community, it was just people in the community we never knew from all over the country. When we went home from the hospital, we have a room, it's probably about 16 by 16. We just had boxes of stuff and gifts that she received. It was so impactful for her to know how much people cared. But I feel like there should be more action. There has to be change so that there's not another Janae Edmondson having to deal with this her whole life.
City leaders are hearing that urge for change. Here's what one city alderman had to say in reaction.
I think it's very appropriate to hold them accountable for that. But we need to emphasize that that young man should never have been able to be out on the road in the first place. We know the backstory there of him being let out when he shouldn't really have been out on the streets.
We just grabbed that interview within the past few hours. Tonight at 10, our Annie Crawl will have more from local leaders about what steps they're taking in the next few weeks to make sure Janae's courage and loss leads to change. You can find our entire interview with Janae and her family on KSDK.com. You can also find it on our YouTube page and the 5+ app. That's on your Apple, Amazon Fire, or Roku TV. Well, today, loved ones of 2 MoDOT workers who were killed on the job came together. Nearly 3 years ago, a driver hit Caitlin Anderson and James Brooks on Telegraph Road in South St. Louis County. And last fall, a memorial bridge was named in honor of Anderson. Well, today, a dedication ceremony to honor the life of James Brooks.
Many commuters drive this highway to the office. For James Brooks, this highway was the office, where workplace hazards whiz by at 70 miles an hour.
Well, he was raising the alarms the whole time.
Brooks routinely looked out for his coworkers' safety.
But there was a failure that day.
842 days ago, a day his wife, Bridget, will never forget.
He left that day and never came home. We had just celebrated 20 years, our anniversary. We had plans, had goals, had dreams, and they're all gone now.
Brooks' family, friends, and coworkers remembered him as a guardian and mentor.
When I had my permit, he was in shotgun riding with me.
When a car crashed into that MoDOT crew, Mike Brown was the lone survivor.
We were standing in active lane of traffic without a protective barrier.
He and local lawmakers gathered at the Renaissance Hotel Saturday afternoon.
For the families who lost loved ones.
All this time later,
it still don't seem real. It's like reliving it all over right now.
His family still feels the sting of his loss.
All I have now is just pictures and memories of him.
Those fleeting moments captured on camera, now treasured memories. And not far from home, along I-70, you'll see his name. But they hope that's just the start of his lasting legacy.
And my mission is to change the laws.
His widow and the mother of his slain coworker plan to put a lot more miles on Missouri highways, driving to and from Jefferson City with a message for lawmakers.
And I think they're going to learn that you and I, we're not going nowhere.
They're demanding steeper fines for reckless drivers.
Slow down and move over, because every single one of these workers should come home every night to their families.
A powerful reminder every time you drive past a sign like this.
I want everybody to remember James, that he didn't die in vain, that we still love and cherish him.
Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.
Let's go ahead and get to your weather first forecast now. Meteorologist Gary Frank joins us. And Gary, it's still chilly out there, but can we expect a warm up anytime?
Yeah, we're going to have to wait for a couple of days now that we've cleared things out. And I will say tomorrow's probably going to feel a lot warmer because it's not quite as windy, which is kind of evident by this camera at the airport. It is blowing around still just after 6 o'clock as the sun has set now in most cases, depending on where you are officially. And so this is the last 6 o'clock sunset we'll see for quite some time. Now that main system has moved out as cloud cover and rain, over 2 inches of rain in some cases, most of us around a ½ an inch to 3/4 of an inch. But otherwise, it's quiet. We're down into the 40s, but the wind is a little bit more significant. Gusts upwards of 25 miles an hour makes it feel cooler so far at this hour. So that's what we're going to have to at least pay attention to the next several hours. As our temperatures fall into the mid-40s, they're probably going to feel like they're in the upper 30s for a brief period of time before we actually fall to the upper 30s. And I know a lot of stuff's growing out there right now, even though I don't want to say it shouldn't be because, you know, that stuff happens this time of the year, but they are going to be in for a reminder of what season it is overnight. We'll talk about how cold it gets the next 2 mornings and when we're back into the 70s ahead.
All right, maybe we need that reminder. Well, today the U.S. conducted another humanitarian airdrop into northern Gaza. A number of civilians in Rafah were hurt in an Israeli airstrike. That's according to Palestinian news agency reports. The prospects of a ceasefire before the holy month of Ramadan are looking tough, according to President Joe Biden. The aid drop to Gaza is an action that the president promised he'd take in his State of the Union address. In that annual address, Biden also talked about the strength of the economy. Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth reiterated the strength of the economy, responding to Biden's address in part by saying, quote, Biden underscored the historic progress Democrats have made for working families with one of the fastest and strongest post-pandemic economic recoveries in the world. Republicans do not feel the same.
If you care about working families and actually what they're feeling every week when they go to the grocery store, Joe Biden's economy has been a disaster for people. When you spend trillions you don't have and declare war on domestic energy production, the cost of everything goes up, and that's what we're seeing.
Now, another area leader walked out of the State of the Union. He says that Biden used the speech as a time to campaign.
He was 17 items in before he talked about the border. The border is the biggest issue out there right now. That's a slap in the face to the American people.
On this week's episode of The Record, political editor Mark Maxwell will have expanded analysis on the State of the Union, so tune in Sunday after Sports Plus. Right now, workers at Gray Bar in Hazelwood are on strike. The union representing the warehouse workers started that strike after their latest labor contract was rejected last month. They've been on strike since February 26th, and they're calling for pay raises and changes to health care coverage. Senator Josh Hawley is meeting with those striking workers today, and according to the union's Twitter, Hawley's opponent, Lucas Kuntz, also visited the workers a little over a week ago. Well, the time change and fire safety, what firefighters want you to do as you set your clocks forward, and kicking off a season in the most unique way. How a Kansas City soccer team is making history on the field and in the sky.